Shalom, greetings to you all. It's always a pleasure to see you. I know I say it all the time, but I truly do mean it. I hope you all had a wonderful ghoul and goblin time on Halloween. I was doing a wedding that night, and no, it was not a theme wedding, so I was simply dressed as a rabbi and not as Darth Vader as a rabbi. Although I have to say, the force was very, very strong that night. And thank you, Susan, for your kind words and for enjoying our weekly presentations. And no matter what else or what his choices, the great Cat Stevens or Yusuf Islam, T for the Tillerman, was a classic album. And Father and Son is one of the greatest father-son songs of all time. And I cannot think of a better song to set against the patriarch parental themes. And within our own beautiful community, Philip, my friend, get better. You have such a huge heart, and the world depends on you. We wish you the speediest recovery. And our heartfelt thoughts and prayers go out to Monty and to Anna. We all hope and pray your son Benjamin is doing better, and we will continue to send prayers out for his healing and his well-being, as will all of us in the nation of caring individuals. And I hope Noah has an awesome trip to Israel. I know to some it is a dangerous place, but for all it is magical. Whatever religious affiliation you may have or had, it is a land of spirit like few others. And just as words to biblical man had palpability, so does the spirit of the Holy Land. For those who have never been there, please put it on your bucket list. There is nothing like the magic that you feel when you're in the Holy Land. And a very special birthday greeting goes out, of course, to Ellen. I hope it was fantastic. I wanted so badly to talk to you, and I'm sorry I did not make it happen. But the celebration of your 60th will always be one of the highlights of my life. I think of it often. It was special. You are special. I know today's your birthday. I know today's for you. Comes around but once a year, so do what you want to do when you followed your dream. Down to Machu Picchu. I always love that song, and it makes me think of you. And I've received many nice comments on the angel puppet facsimiles we used this week. And last week. And this week calls for puppets too. And I got to tell you, it's hard to find good puppets. There's just a lack of puppets out there, but I have come up with a pretty good alternative. Now, I want you to remember something, friends. The names for the Parshas came 1,000 years or more after the Torah was written. Just like the divisions for the Parshas came 1,000 years later. And the Hebrew names differ from the English in approach. The Hebrew is from the first words in the Parsha, while the English comes from the Greek, of course, which is from the theme of the Parsha. Now, in this week's case, it doesn't quite work. The first words are, Sarah lived to be 127 years old, and she died. That, my friends, is the extent of what we know and what we are told of the great matriarch of Judaism. Friends, this week we have Haye Sarah, Sarah's life. Except we are told nothing about her life. Well, not just Sarah dies in this parsha, but Abraham dies. So we have a changing of the guard. We meet adult Isaac, not sacrificial Isaac. We meet Rebecca. Her uncle Laban, who will take on a very important role later on, and the mysterious servant of Abraham who orchestrates the change. And I say mysterious because we do not get his name. Here's the mysterious man. We do not, really get his name, but he has been called Eliezer because that name appears independently in reference to Abraham, and we like to put names to certain people. Perhaps we don't get his name because he had a very specific role only, and we'll look at that shortly. Friends, this parsha is about one thing. This parsha is about love. And as the Young Rascals sang in 1966, good lovin'. Give me that good lovin'. Now, there's a very famous term which I'm sure you have all heard, beshert. It's a Yiddish word meaning destiny. And we often say that something is beshert. It was meant to be, it was destiny. And we have a belief today that a person should marry whoever they fall in love with. And when they do, it was probably beshert. Now, that is about as far from the biblical view of marriage as you can get. The biblical man Love was a terrible criterion upon which to base a marriage. Isaac could have fallen in love with any number of Canaanite women, but Abraham had forbidden it. I know you haven't made your mind up yet, but I would never do you wrong. I've known it from the moment that we met. No doubt in my mind where you belong. A great Bob Dylan song. Now, the patriarchs believe that God appointed a person's spouse, and so your spouse is your soulmate. And this story is the first story to deal with this. Friends, in this parsha, we read about the Bible's first matchmaking. Abraham wants Isaac to marry, so he sends his servant to find a wife for him. For Papa, make him a scholar. For Mama, make him rich as a king. For me, well, I wouldn't holler if he were as handsome as anything. Matchmaker, matchmaker. And this is the 50th year of Fiddler. Isn't that fantastic? And it's reopening on Broadway. And I still listen to the original cast recording with the only Tevye there should have been, the late, great Zero Mostel. Now, in case you did not think there would be any confusion, we now have a parsha written on a very twisted timeline. Its events do not take place as you read them. It is confusing and would be impossible. You read, Sarah dies and Abraham buys a tomb to bury her. Okay, well, there's nothing unusual about that. It's a very famous tomb. And we're going to see it every so often come up in the Torah. And Abraham, interestingly enough, is referred to as an alien here. In the land his heirs will come to own. And perhaps that too is why his descendants are enjoined to respect and treat aliens well, more than any other law in the Torah. Not just because of Egypt, but perhaps it goes all the way back to Abraham. Abraham sends his servant off to find a wife for Isaac, and the servant finds Rebekah. Abraham remarries and has several more children. Abraham dies. That's your order. And when he dies, he leaves everything to Isaac. Now, how do you think all the other children are going to feel about that? And when he dies, Isaac and Ishmael come together to bury him. Now, that says a lot about Ishmael. And he, too, is a character we learn very little about, just like we learn nothing about this new wife of Abraham's. Now, what the order of the Parsha probably should be is Sarah dies, Abraham remarries. Although those can be reversed. He can remarry before she dies. After all, we're talking about a polygamous society, and the members of the patriarch generations almost all had multiple wives. And it really does not matter. Other than as readers in today's society, we probably feel closer to the patriarchs if they are more monogamous like we, and Sarah dies before he marries again. Abraham then lies dying, and he has his servant make what's known as a deathbed vow to him to go and get Isaac a wife. Genesis 24:2. Put your hand, pray, under my thigh, that I may make you swear by the Lord, God of the heavens and God of the earth, that you shall not take a wife from my son, from the daughters of the Canaanite, in whose midst I dwell, but to my land and to my birthplace you shall go, and you shall take a wife from my son, for Isaac. Now, this is a traditional deathbed vow, and it would only be made with Abraham dying. And Abraham says, go to the land of my birth, and the servant goes to Haran, not Ur. There is that irreconcilable geographic confusion again. Oops. And the only condition Abraham puts on the servant is, my son, you must not bring back there. Why? Why is the only condition that Isaac not be taken to the land of Abraham's birth? Well, because with Abraham dead, Isaac may not return. He may just stay there, in which case, who will get Abraham's loot? After all, that's what he was most concerned with earlier, what he kept complaining about. And Abraham says another fascinating thing. He'll send his angel ahead of you, and you shall take a wife for my son from there. For the first time in the Bible, the servant announces what the miracle will be, not God. It's now the servant dictating this is what the miracle will be. Now, the question is, was his servant an angel? Is that why we never knew his name? Do you ever know who your angels are? They don't all show their wings. Remember this puppet? Where we had, the 3 visitors with Abraham. 2 of the angels appear as men. We encounter angels all the time in our lives. You've encountered them in your own trials and tribulations. Sometimes you knew, but you're not always sure who. And you, my friends, are angels to others. And sometimes you can choose too. Think of the harm that you can do to others, then think of the good. By which do you want to be remembered? The act of one makes you an angel. Never did feel this way before. Never did get up and walk the floor. If this is love, then give me more and more and more and more. Well, Isaac's not going to see his bride for a while still, so it's not going to be that kind of a love. Well, we then see the first of many historic betrothal scenes acted out. And they're all centered around heroic activity, which tends to involve providing water, the lifeblood of man, and symbol for emotion. And conventionally, there's a fixed sequence of motifs of this type. There is travel to a foreign land, encounter there with the future bride at a well, the drawing of water, hurrying or running to bring the news of the stranger's arrival, a feast, which a betrothal agreement is concluded. Except this one, this is the only one in the entire Bible that is reversed, with the female enacting the rule and with a surrogate, since Rebekah does not actually meet Isaac till she goes off to marry him. Friends, surely there is some intimation in all of this of the subsequent course of the marriage of Isaac and Rebekah. He, in most respects, the most passive of all the patriarchs, she, forceful and enterprising. And the great romance ends very quickly. And the servant recounted to Isaac all the things he had done. And Isaac brought her into the tent of Sarah his mother and took Rebekah his wife. And he loved her. And Isaac was consoled after his mother's death. He meets her, marries her. That's it. Over. Friends, this is biblical confirmation that Sarah and Abraham are both dead. We have a new patriarch and a new matriarch. And interestingly enough, it is still from what would be forbidden relationships. As the servant says, God has led me to the house of my Lord's brother. Abraham married his sister. Isaac will marry his cousin. Wait till you see what happens to his children, the most famous twins in history. It's only love, and that is all. Why should I feel the way I do? It's only love, and that is all. But it's so hard loving you. Love. Friends, love can be hard, but love is the glue that holds the universe together. It is the only law you need to know, and it will bring you the greatest joy in your life. Yes, the world is sacred, my friends, and so is everything in it. Express your gratitude. Light a candle, make a wish. Celebrate your life and the lives of those you love. Share your feelings with them. Live free, be free, honor your freedom. Be well, be happy, be blessed. Share and honor the light, and all who live in light and continue to shine. Continue to send everyone you know goodwill and love. Pray for peace and freedom for everyone, and end to terror and hatred. Remember, friends, we are a community. We learn together, we celebrate each other, we love each other. We share this ride together, men and women equally. Let us send out love, not fear. Send out peace, harmony, good healing to all who need it. And please do fall in love, friends. It is the great gamble worth taking. Look forward, not backwards in life, and ask questions. Don't take because as an answer. Break free of dogma and change your way of thinking. Follow that call to freedom. The journey is yours to enjoy. Me and you and me. No matter how they toss the dice, it had to be. The only one for me is you, and you for me, so happy together. I can't see me loving nobody but you for all my life. When you're with me, baby, the skies will be blue for all my life. Happy together. Thank you all. Love you. See y'all next time, and I'm happy to be with you together. And I do love seeing y'all again. And remember, your wishes do come true. And I'm sorry I didn't get to show you all the puppets that I had in mind, but we will see them again next week. Have a fantastic week. Be well. Bless you all. Send out as much love and healing as you can, and thank you for joining me. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Have a fantastic time. Take care. Bye.